Hello and welcome to FinextraTV's Thought Leadership Series. I'm Hannah Wallace, and kindly joining us on the call today is Tania Ziegler, Research Lead for the Cambridge Centre of Alternative Finance. Hi Tania, thank you so much for joining the call today.
Hi, Hannah. Thanks so much for the invitation.
No problem at all. Now, we're actually speaking off the back of CCAF's partnership with World Bank and the World Economic Forum, who together have set out to investigate the impact of Covid-19 on global FinTech. This is a really gripping topic because, of course, the industry has undergone huge disruption. So to start off, it'd be great to hear a bit more about the thinking behind the study, why the collaboration with World Bank and the World Economic Forum, and the survey. What was the reasoning behind launching the survey?
Absolutely. And you're completely correct when you say that COVID-19 has had huge reverberations, not just as a health crisis, but certainly across the, economic and financial landscapes. When we were beginning to think about, our normal annual benchmarking activity that we do, we realized that not including COVID-19 in the discussion would be a real shame, in particular because we really wanted to understand, how the financial technology industry is being affected by COVID-19 with respect to market performance, how those firms are responding with respect to their own products and services, and how they've had to adapt or be resilient in the face of COVID-19. We've certainly been very interested also in understanding the regulatory and policy needs that financial technology firms are going to require, not just right now, but certainly in the next 16 to 18 months after COVID-19. So really trying to understand how COVID-19 has impacted this space has been of critical importance. And the research is hopefully going to create a baseline for further conversations on how, and how financial technology could be part of, governmental solutions, economic solutions, so on and so forth.
All right, that's interesting. And when you were putting together your taxonomy, what did you consider? Are these areas leading sectors in fintech? And also, why has the taxonomy become increasingly important in enabling the industry to define what fintech really means?
Making sure that our taxonomy was sufficiently robust was of actually critical importance when we were putting together this survey. Fintech has become somewhat of an amorphous term, and it means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so when we were thinking about what our taxonomy needed to include, we really wanted to focus on classifications that were sufficiently robust and that would be understandable across a number of different sectors. To that end, our taxonomy actually has 15 different verticals. So we're not just kind of narrowly looking at, it's just digital lending. We're looking at digital lending, capital raising, digital payments, reg tech, wealth tech, insure tech, all the way through to all the different crypto asset applications, and then definitely market provisioning and enterprise technology. So what you can see is a huge breadth of activities that are encapsulated in financial technology. We've not taken a narrow view. Our taxonomy has been based on the activities that firms, or rather, we've taken the view that the taxonomy has to be based on activities so that when a fintech firm comes to the survey, they know pretty quickly where they can self-categorize. Across those 15 overarching verticals, we then have anywhere from 8 to 11 different sub-models as well. So we really want to understand those nuances. The other thing to note is that, a taxonomy, especially a taxonomy of an evolving and quickly changing ecosystem, has to also be flexible. So we also take our cues from the industry to really understand what their experience, and so that will also be reflected back in the final taxonomy that we use for this study.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's sort of where the survey comes in as well, isn't it? Can you tell our audience who's the survey for, and how have you ensured that the questions probe COVID-19 experiences rather than just general fintech experiences?
Sure. The survey is being responded to by, or we're aiming for responses from 15,000 fintech firms from across 190 different countries. I should say that we're looking at everything from the unicorns and then the incumbents to the startups that are starting their journey in the fintech ecosystem. When we were devising our survey, we really made sure that it aligned with that broad taxonomy. So if you are a platform that's coming to the survey, once you've picked your overarching model, the questions that you receive are going to be based on that. So we understand that, a digital lending platform responding to this survey is not going to have the same questions or frankly the same concerns that, say, an insurtech does. So we were really exacting in that there are a number of questions that are going to be readily available for everybody, and that's so that we can create measurable baselines and sort of classifications. But then we also will go into the nuances of your specific model so we can really understand what's going on there. When we were putting together the survey questions, we worked pretty closely with industry as well. We did a lot of desktop-based research. No good researcher can call themselves a researcher if they haven't spent hours and hours on lit reviews and desktop-based research, and that is certainly what we did here. So that when we were creating these questions, they would be reflective of the actual experiences of those model types, not just generically fintech. All of our questions are directional, so we're not asking for a specific data point, but we're rather trying to get indications of how the market has changed. So a respondent coming to the survey should be able to respond to these questions fairly easily.
Wow, really interesting. No small task then as well.
No small task.
And I want to home in a little bit more on your method then. How about you analyse and compile the data, and what's the process of completing the study and distributing the results?
So when a platform responds to the survey, they are going to be providing, some basic information about themselves, and that's used by the research team to make sure that we can verify and sanitize that response. Usually what will happen is that once we receive a response, we will then, just the core research team will go through that entry. We make sure that it's accurate, that the fields are filled out correctly. Human error happens everywhere, and so we want to make sure that the response is really reflective of what their experience is. So we do on occasion go back to firms just for clarifications. Once we have a file that is accurate and sanitized and verified, we actually then strip out the identifying information. And this is really important because although we're not asking for incredibly sensitive data, we are asking for timely data. And that means that, the firms are kind of providing us with really insights into how they're, what's going on their day to day. So we're sensitive to the fact that this is important information and important data, and data protection is very important to us. Mm-hmm. So we strip out all of the identifying information of the firm. Every firm is given sort of a dummy ID or a token. And then we only do our analysis on that aggregated file. So at no point are we doing specific analysis on, say, Tania's fintech firm, but rather overarching on either my vertical or subcategory. Or at a regional or jurisdictional basis. So when we're doing our analysis, our findings are going to always be at that aggregate and macro level. I should note, though, if we see that we do not have sufficiently robust data, either in a specific vertical or at a country level, we won't include it. We only ever publish on data that is sufficiently robust and that there's no way to kind of sort of track back and have any sensitivities there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Tania, this study is certainly paving the way across the industry to create really meaningful data that's going to help them make informed decisions about the direction of the industry post-Covid-19, isn't it? But just to finish things off then, what's your sort of final message to those firms and our audience, and what should we look out for?
My final message would definitely be that this is a rapid assessment. We are attempting to collect data from 15,000 firms from 190 different countries in about 6-7 weeks, with the idea of publishing this report at the end of September. And again, this is a publication that that is going to be coming out jointly between the World Economic Forum, the World Bank, and the CCAF. Our emphasis on having this be rapid is so that we can really create a baseline for additional empirical research. We really are at that delta knot at the moment where we want to see, how COVID-19 is impacting this space, not just right now and in the present, but certainly in the next 16 months, in the next 22 months. So on and so forth. So this rapid assessment's really serving as a baseline for much needed empirical study. by having something that is rapid and that comes out really rapidly as well, it is our hope that this study will be utilized by government, by policy, by regulators, and also very critically by the industry itself when thinking about what the role might be for financial technology vis-a-vis COVID-19 solutions. So if you really, if you want to participate in this study, please do so quickly and rapidly, because these results will be coming out in September with the idea of having them available, publicly available for use within Q4, and hopefully we'll have, the power to shape what we see in financial technology as a COVID-19 solution, and certainly, as an assessment on the resiliency of the sector as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I urge people to keep a close eye on the development of the research. But for now, Tania, thank you so much. It's been really informative, and we'll leave it there. Thanks.
Thank you.